This week's best MMA bets, we're talking UFC Vegas 54 and Bellator 281. Both pretty good cards. We're going to go through the pure betting side of both of them. Make sure you guys smash that like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Turn those post notifications on. Share the video as well. Much love to everybody supporting the channel. Looking forward to talking about both these cards on another episode of this week's best MMA bets. We are going to bring the odds on screen. I want you guys in the comments to let me know what you think of the odds up as opposed to just me here being in full screen. So definitely let your boy know in the comments. Let's jump into section one, which are the locks of the night. We'll start with UFC and then we will jump over to Bellator and then we'll cover dogs, props, and parlays as well. So pretty fun show in store. Let's jump into the first lock of the night for the UFC. I love Davy Grant in this fight. There is some concern by multiple people in the space, especially diehard MMA pod. He said to me, Clint told me, he said, listen, my biggest fear would be Smolka winning by sub, which I really respect that opinion. But odds are Davy Grant is going to knock him out. The line is very wide, so it's definitely an ugly money line bet. Minus 275 for Davy Grant. Luis Smolka plus 269. As far as the props, maybe you go under 2.5 rounds, minus 160, because I do think we're going under here. I don't think this is a long fight. I like under 2.5 a lot here. If Smolka was to win, it would probably be by submission. The line for that is crazy wide at plus 770, so some people might be interested in playing it. I'm noting that out there for you. Grant to win by KO plus 135. I do think he gets it done by knockout. I'm thinking first or second round. Grant by first round knockout sits at just plus 300. I mean, not just, but it's not super wide. Grant second round KO plus 600. I like Grant by knockout, but plus 135 prop. It's not fantastic, but I do think it's a highly likelihood casher. If you're looking for more of a Hail Mary, dog snipe, Smolka by submission, there's a chance on the other side. But I'm including Davy Grant as an extremely confident pick. I think the likelihood of him losing this fight is extraordinarily low. I think he should smoke Smolka in a round or less here. The under 2.5 at minus 160, I love it. I'd even consider under 1.5 at plus 115. I think either of those lines are fantastic. Davy Grant, a little wide for the money line at minus 275, but definitely a potential parlay piece. And I do think he gets it done this Saturday. Good first lock of the night. The next lock of the night is going to be Caitlyn Schuchagan over Amanda Heboss. The line is not extremely wide. It's minus 172 for Schuchagan. Heboss plus 158 as the dog. I think Schuchagan wins this fight. Looking towards overs, unders, I think we're going over 2.5, which is minus 250. I do think fight goes distance at minus 220. Schuchagan's known for the decision, but Heboss has been hurt in recent bouts, knocked out by Rodriguez, dropped by Verna Gendodoba, and she's now jumping up a weight class to challenge Caitlyn Schuchagan. Schuchagan by KO prop plus 460. Schuchagan by decision plus 115. I'm going to pick Schuchagan to win by a decision here, but there is a wide line on the Schuchagan by KO prop, and she hasn't gotten a finish in a very long time, like way back, years back. This could be the first one. Heboss could be the girl that gets finished by her, but I also like Schuchagan as far as a money line bet. I think it's very valuable, and I expect her to win. Caitlyn Schuchagan, lock. I think we're going a bit longer here, and I think Schuchagan gets her hand raised dominantly over Amanda Heboss, who I think is making a mistake moving up from 115, especially to now jump up. In your first fight, you're going to fight the biggest girl and the #1 contender in that weight class. Dangerous move. High risk, high reward, because if Heboss wins, she might be fighting for the belt, but I don't think she does here. Let's keep running through the locks. Next one is Nick Maximov over Andrei Petroski. Nick Maximov has swelled upwards of minus 356 here. He's extremely wide as the favorite. Petroski plus 325 as an underdog. The odds are, to me, Maximov outpaces and pressures Petroski and finish him second or third. Submission, I'm thinking. It's going to be a high pace from Maximov. Definitely a chance this fight goes distance. Petroski is bringing in the wrestling base. As far as striking, he hits hard, but he's a raw talent standing. I'm not saying Maximov is this great striker, but I think Maximov, his style, the way he chains takedowns together, the constant pressure, Petrosky's going to have to keep up with a guy that just brings an incredible pace, and I think Maximov for the win here. I'm going to pick by submission. That's plus 350. Maximov by decision, plus 135. I'm liking second or third round sub, over 1.5, minus 265 I like here. I think you're getting into more risky territories with the over or under on the 2.5, plus 135 for under 2.5, over 2.5, minus 155. I feel like it's definitely possible Maximov and Petrosky go distance as well, even though I'm picking the sub line. So maybe you want to pump the brakes on playing the over or under 2.5 here and go more towards Maximov as a parlay piece at that minus 350 range, or maybe you touch Maximov submission line, which is pretty quality money at plus 350. That's what I like here. If Petrosky was to win, I'll throw you his line. Petrosky by KO, plus 1345. It's never impossible for a fighter to be knocked out. So if you're looking to play the opposite side, plus 1,345 might be the line for you. That's extremely wide. And I don't think that's very reasonable. I think that maybe plus 700, plus 800, like plus 1,300. That's crazy for the knockout prop on Petrosky. Maybe you're just hedging that with a bit, and it could come through. It's not impossible. But I think Maximov, high confidence pick here, considered a lock of the night. I do believe he gets it done over Andrei Petrovsky. Let's get to the next lock of the night. I like Tatsuro Taira over Carlos Candelario. I just feel he's better everywhere. I had him as a lock of the night when they were originally scheduled, so I'm bringing him back here. Minus 233 for Taira. Carlos Candelario plus 211. As far as potential props, I do like the side of Taira via sub. It's plus 225, but we're in the flyweight division. Definitely not going to be shocked if Taira wins the decision. It's plus 235. As far as the overs, over a round and a half, minus 175, minus 200 range. I do think that's likely of coming through. Over 2.5, minus 125, minus 110 at best value is a more dangerous play because I am kind of seeing second or third round sub later in the second round maybe. I think the over-unders I'd be a bit hesitant on. Maybe Taira as a straight money line attack. Maybe Taira by a sub. Or you sit back and you're like, listen, he's debuting in the UFC. The hype is on him. He looks really good from what we can see, but you want to find out more. So definitely understand what people might pass on the bet. Maybe a parlay piece. Throw him in to something. Have one without him as well since he's a newer guy. But I do think it could be one to add to the parlays. And I mean, if you want to attack a money line, minus 233, it could come through. But I'm going to put the warning of UFC debut on there, which is always a dangerous thing to bet on debuting fighters in the UFC. Overall, we have some pretty good locks. Those are what I felt I really wanted to consider locks for the UFC. I am going to jump over to Bellator and talk about some locks there. The first lock that I am liking for Bellator is Luke Traynor over Simone Bayong. I really think Luke Traynor has a high likelihood chance of winning this fight by submission. He's minus 269 is the favorite. Bayong plus 241. Bayong is just too raw of a talent for me, whereas I see Traynor is a lot more polished, standing and on the floor. As far as the inside of the distance for Traynor, you're sitting at minus 150, so the line is ugly. You're not getting good money. Traynor is more of the parlay style piece. If they had the sub prop up, I will check best fight odds, but I doubt they do. It doesn't seem like they have it either. No, they do not. I'd be curious what the line would be at. Don't know for sure if they'll open with one. If they do, guys, definitely check out the sub prop because I'm calling Luke Traynor to win by a submission here. That's the pick in this one, and I do think he beats Simone Bayong. Confident Luke Traynor, Bellator lock. The next lock for the Bellator card, I like Denise Kiholtz's chances of beating Kana Watanabe. Kiholtz lost by this much to Juliana Velasquez. Kana Watanabe got destroyed by Carmouche in her debut. Now, MMA math doesn't work here, but I think Denise Kiholtz has a tricky kickboxing game for Watanabe. Watanabe may want to clinch, take her to the floor. I think Kiholtz defends well. She went 5 rounds, losing a very competitive split decision against Juliana Velasquez. I like Kiholtz's chances. Minus 239 for Kiholtz. Plus 211 for Kana Watanabe. I am confident in the Keyhold side. I am going to lean towards the decision. Over a round and a half is minus 180. Wouldn't be shocked if there was a finish here. Don't really love playing these potential inside distance or goes distance props here. I would rather touch over 1.5 and minus 180 or Keyholds as a potential parlay piece at minus 239, minus 240 over at Bet Online, depending where you're playing. It could be somebody to mix in, maybe with a cross parlay if you're willing to risk it on some ladies here. I do think Keyholt's pretty confident pick to beat Kana Watanabe. You guys know I like to keep it a little bit safer with the Bellator locks. So those are the locks for Bellator. I do have dogs for Bellator that I definitely am excited to talk about. We're going to jump towards the UFC again. We'll talk to UFC dogs. Make sure you guys smash that like button and let's jump into the dog section here. Dog number one for the UFC is a very close money dog. It is Viviana Rujao at plus 102. Now, you might find this line more to pick'ems, minus 110, plus 100. But plus money is still really good here for a Rujao, who I think does it all a bit better than Andrea Lee. She's definitely better at her takedowns offensively, and I could see her taking Lee down. I feel like we're going long here. A Rujao plus money, plus 102 best value. Lee minus 110 is the favorite at best value. If we look towards maybe playing the over 2.5 minus 300. I know it's extremely wide, but it could be a nice parlay addition to add in to something. A Rujao to win a decision is the official pick. It's what I like a lot here. I do think that's what's going to happen when these two ladies go after it. It's plus 175. I think that they're sleeping on Arujao's ground game a bit. She's dangerous on the floor. Lee, very difficult to finish. I like chances of going distance. I like chances of Arujao landing takedowns, being successful from the top position. Arujao striking too, I think is in the fight, if not superior. Definitely more explosive than Andrea Lee. Arujao, dog, one of my favorites at plus 102 best value as the first dog of the night for this week's best MMA bets. The next dog is going to be Frank the Crank Camacho, plus 111 for Frank the Crank. He's fighting Manuel Torres, who's a raw talent, minus 122 favorite. Yes, Camacho is coming off a horrible loss to Justin James. He looked atrocious in that fight. He got knocked out under a minute. We didn't know much about James at that point. James has an insane blitz. He dropped Gavin Tucker in their fight. Justin James touched the chin and knocked out Frank Camacho in the debut, the dream, and it all happened. Camacho has taken time off, and if you look at his Instagram, this guy is coming back with a vengeance in the best shape I've seen him in. He takes on a raw talent in Manuel Torres. I think Camacho can get the finish here. I'm going Camacho to win, thinking maybe KO TKO for Camacho at plus 325. That's not a bad line, but if you want to just play the money line, plus 111, I do feel second or third round KO for Camacho, but it could be a quick fight. Under 2.5 rounds, I think, is actually a pretty solid play at minus 160, or fight ends inside of the distance at minus 240. I also think that one definitely comes through. I mean, if under 2.5 is coming through, then ends distance, of course, comes through. Under 2.5, minus 160 is kind of calling my name here. I like it. I like Camacho by knockout. I like Camacho's money line. I think he's a good piece. Manuel Torres is a very raw talent. You look at his regional scene tape. It's a little bit chaotic and crazy. I think Camacho can win this fight, and he might get a KO win. Might mix in some wrestling as well. Interesting matchup. Definitely a dog attack that I feel is worthy of mentioning, and it's an official pick. Frank Camacho as the underdog over Manuel Torres, looking to bounce back from the unfortunate loss to Justin James. Bad loss, but I think he's coming back with a bit of a vengeance. Now, the next dog for the UFC. It's not an official pick, but for me, I was sitting on the fence with this one as I did the breakdown, as I've done the research. Verna Gendodoba and Angela Hill. Angela Hill is a plus 158 underdog, and she has been in there with some of the best fighters in the UFC. Regardless of pick, the value betting side is on Hill, who has fought a who's who of competition level. Yes, record's not great at 13-11, but she's been in there with the best in the world time and time and time again and competed. Split decision loss to Amanda Lemos. Angela Hill definitely can make this fight go long and make it competitive. Plus money for Angela would be a better bet. I'd rather back Angela Hill as a dog than playing Verna as a fairly strong favorite. So value betting is on Angela Hill. Over 2.5 rounds, minus 240. I think that's coming through. I think we're going the full distance. Hill by decision, plus 210. Gendodoba, if you're on that side by decision, is plus 150. For me, I don't want to play Gendodoba at all. and it's a real toss-up, so it's really a dog or pass betting spot for me. So I really like Angela Hill's chances as a dog. I do think she can come through. I think fight's going distance here. That's minus 215, and I like Angela Hill as a dog. One worth mentioning for sure. I don't think she'll get the knockout on Verna. I think Verna's going to press, look to do a lot of cage work and control there. Smaller octagon is concerning. 30-foot octagon, I think, favors Hill. 25-foot, it goes the way of Verna. Not impossible for a Hill upset. I do like the Hill bet at plus money, especially at plus 158, plus 140 is not bad either, but you're getting really good plus, and I think Angela Hill is extremely live in this spot, and definitely I think fight's going longer. So that over or that fight goes distance might be a pretty valuable touch as well. Those are the dogs that I like a lot with the UFC. Now, of course, Jan Blachowicz at the top is being slept on by the bookies. He's plus 172, so I will mention him, but I'm a bit more confident on Alexander Rakic to win a hard-fought fight as opposed to the side of Verna, who's a real toss-up. I like Rakic's chances, but at plus money, I got to bring up Jan Blachowicz. He's plus 172. He deserves the respect, and I don't think the line should be that wide here. I really don't, but I'm right in the Rakic side, but I wanted to mention for the people that side of Jan Blachowicz, because I don't hate the play if you're looking for an underdog by any means. It's good to attack dogs, and that might be a good one to play. Let's jump towards the Bellator dogs, because we have some juicy ones here on the main card. Bellator, dog number 1, Lyoto the Dragon Machida, plus 145 over Fabian Edwards at minus 143. I think Machida's still got a little juice left, especially when he went over to Bellator. He's having competitive fights with really good fighters. I think he's going to beat Fabian Edwards. I'm leaning the decision line, but method of victory is wish-washy for me. Plus 145, Lyoto Machida to win the fight over a fellow striker, and Fabian Edwards seems like pretty good potential play. If you look towards the over-unders, over 2.5, minus 260, minus 245. Edwards is not a chinny fighter at all. Lyoto Machida, of course, can bring high-level attacks that come out of nowhere. He can front kick you in the face. I mean, he did it to Randy Couture bad. I don't think he does it to Fabian here. But Lyoto Machida at plus money is always somebody to consider playing, especially being matched up against Fabian Edwards here. Now, Machida by decision, plus 230, I think would be the most likely outcome for him winning the fight. Fabian Edwards by decision, plus 160. I think fight goes distance, minus 195. Dangerous when you get two good strikers in there. Somebody could go down, but it's hard for me to see Machida falling, and I got to respect the Edwards chin. I'm saying this fight goes long here, and I'm saying Machida gets a decision. So I like the plus money on Lyoto Machida. I think there is some great dogs in Bellator this week, and I think Lyoto Machida is absolutely one of them. The next dog for Bellator that I like here is going to be the side. Now, not extremely confident side, but Wendell Giacomo, Paul Daly. This is what I don't like. This is Paul Daly's farewell fight in London. There's going to be a ton of pressure on him. Wendell is a Pitbull Brothers guy. I believe he's going to be looking to grapple here, press Paul against the cage. Of course, if Paul Daly touches the chin, he can do serious damage. Note this, Wendell's never been knocked out. He has been beaten twice before, both losses by submission. Just saying, this might be a bad crossroads fight. End of career versus Wendell on the come up. It's not an extremely confident dog attack, but at plus 263, it's one that I have to mention here. Now, we don't have an official slew of props released just yet. I will check best fight odds just for a moment to see if there's anything extra. We could look towards Wendell to win inside of the distance, plus 365. I think the sub line could be live. Not my favorite dog attack, but it's a live one worth mentioning. Are you really going to want to throw down at minus 300 Paul Daly, who says this is his last fight? Usually when fighters say this is it, it's not a good position to be in, especially hometown fight. I think this could be trouble for Paul Daly. Of course, as a Paul Daly fan, I want him to win. So just for that matter, I probably am not going to attack Wendell. I might, we'll see on fight day, but it's one worth at least considering here. Now, the final dog for Bellator that I really love, Michael Venom Page. Guys, Logan Storley's striking game is extremely limited. His wrestling is A1, is elite caliber. But he's got 5 rounds. I don't see Storley with that ferocious ground and pound where he just beats up Michael Page and stops him. I see him needing 5 rounds to beat him on a decision. And eventually, there's going to be a chance for Page to strike. At that point, he can knock out anybody in the world. Plus 246, Michael Venom Page. Logan Storley minus 265. Page was originally supposed to be fighting Yaroslav Amosov for the undisputed belt. Now the interim belt on the line. I feel like Page is somebody that might have to be touched here. It's just a very live matchup. I don't know. I think the line's too wide. It's because of the takedowns of Storley. Page is at home. He's in the prime of his career. You can't sleep on Michael Venom Page. Plus 400, Page by KO, TKO is going to be the prop that I lean you towards. I think it's worth touching here. I will be playing it. I think there is a fair chance that he can knock out Logan Storley. Now, Storley may grind 5 rounds of work and get a decision at plus 140. I don't want to play that line. He's got to be near perfect for 5 rounds, whereas Page needs 1 moment. I wouldn't touch the money line on Storley at minus 265. To me, the dog attack is the right attack. It's plus 246. Michael Venom Page to become the interim champion in Bellator, and he's a star there. The stars might be aligning. It's London. It's at home. I think he can find the shot over Logan Storley. So Michael Venom Page, I think, is a very good underdog to consider in Bellator. There's some live dogs for sure. Ones that I talked about here are the ones that I like the most. That is the Bellator dogs. You know, throughout the prelims, you obviously can attack some dogs as well, but be cautious with Bellator prelims. I like touching the most established guys towards the Bellator card. I mean, obviously I brought up Wendell Giacomo, but that's just a weird crossroads fight at this point. I know he took it on short notice replacing Koreshkov, but he could be live in the spot. But Page at the top, one that I like. If I had to give you the order, I like Machida the most, Page the second most, Wendell number 3. But I think all 3 of them are very live to come through, and I'll near guarantee at least one of them comes through. So overall, very exciting Bellator betting night ahead of us to attack some underdogs. Now, I do want to talk about some leftover props. If you guys haven't, make sure to smash that like button. I like the Rakic and Jan over 3.5, over 2.5. Let's see over 2.5. It's minus 163. I like over 2.5 here. Minus 163. I think we're going over 2.5. Over 1.5 at minus 275 is wide, but it's not a bad touch. You're getting riskier playing over 3.5, minus 115. We haven't seen Rakic go longer. I'm picking him to win the fight. Note this, but we haven't seen him in 4 and 5, and there's a lot of question marks around how he'll look later. Jan is always live as an underdog, so if you want to touch that, plus 172, as I mentioned, is not a bad idea. As far as Blachowicz by KO, plus 455. I like the side of Rakic to win. I like the over 2.5 rounds at minus 163, minus 165 more than anything here. I do think there's a good chance that we're going longer, and I think Rakic is going to win longer. It's at the apex. He's going to be patient, and he's going to go more towards that decision game planning style. We'll see what happens when the cage door closes. The main event's a scary one, but a very exciting one too, where I like the over more than anything. Now, the next one is Michael Johnson. I don't like the money line at minus 147, but it's not a terrible line. Patrick is the plus 133 dog. I feel like we're ending inside of the distance. So under 2.5, plus 140, but I feel like Michael Johnson's due for that knockout. The hand's on fire. He definitely can let him go and get the knockout here over the older Alan Patrick. Alan Patrick hasn't looked great as of late, but neither has Michael Johnson. But at his best, Michael Johnson's a problem. He's beaten a who's who. I mean, he's beaten Ferguson. He's beaten Edson Barboza. He's beaten Dustin Poirier in the first round by knockout. You can't sleep on Michael Johnson completely here. He's plus 300 win by KO, TKO. It's definitely not impossible. Maybe something to consider, one that I felt was worth mentioning for the pure prop section. And now the next prop, Hadley and Nasimento. I like Jake Hadley to win. He's minus 214 is the favorite. Nasimento, the plus 188 dog. But I feel like you're risking it a bit more touching Hadley, who's debuting here against a very game Nasimento. I feel like we're going long here. Minus 163 best value for over 2.5 rounds. Minus 175 for over 2.5 over at Bet Online. I like the over 2.5. I think Hadley wins a decision, but this is just an extremely competitive fight. Nasimento known for losing fights by split decision. So extraordinarily close matchup. I feel like fight goes distance here. That's minus 125. But over 2.5, I mean, the bookies don't seem to love it. I mean, it's minus 163. It's not like minus 300, but I think the likelihood's high. I think it's going to be very hard for Hadley to finish Nasimento. If he does, I'd be extremely impressed. But I like Hadley to win a decision. That's plus 150 best value. I like the over. Go the over on that one. Those are the etc. props for you guys for the UFC, which I really felt were worth mentioning. I do want to jump towards the fame section, the final section, the parlays. Make sure you guys smash the like button. And if you are new to the channel, subscribe. Keep it locked in here at MMA Experts. And let's talk about some potential parlays. Now, I am going to kick it with pure UFC to start things off, and then we'll flip-flop and jump elsewhere. Ignore the Cerrone lows on. Best fight odds is off their game as usual with that. Caitlyn Schuchagan, I think, is a good parlay piece with Davy Grant. It brings you to plus money. Plus 107, going to vary where you're at. But at that value, I think it's highly likelihood. It's like a high likelihood play. Grant Schuchagan, I like the line a lot. I feel like the plus money is pretty good. If you want to add in Maximov here at the bottom, he's a big favorite, but it does bring you to plus 162. I think he can get it done. Now, if you're concerned, you're like, listen, I don't want to play an early in the night fight. I feel like Petrosky's live. Not a problem at all. If you want to go towards maybe adding in Hill Gendodoba over 2.5 rounds, I do think you can get some good value there. It brings you to plus 184, and I think this is a high likelihood casher. 3 fight parlay, this is the one I probably like the most, especially if you want to avoid the Maximov side. I think these 3 outcomes of the night are extremely likely, and I will be touching this line myself. Now, as far as the next one, you're like, listen, I want to add in a little more juice. I need an underdog. Viviana Rujao brings you to plus 468. With just adding her in at that plus money tag, plus 468 is kind of calling my name. I really like the value of this one. So if you're looking to parlay up pure UFC, I think this is a pretty valuable play that you can consider. Obviously, there's going to be some people that maybe don't like the Arujao take. Let's take her out. It's plus 184 still. If you're like, listen, I don't want to play Davy Grant, you want him off the line, you're still getting plus 326. Even if you don't like the Schuchagan side and you took her out, at this point, you're going underdog city and then the over 2.5 for Hill Gendodoba, plus 174. So some great ways to play it. I am going to jump towards Bellator for a moment to talk about potential plays there. If you are looking for the parlay in pure Bellator, I think Luke Trainer parlayed up with Denise Kiholtz, minus 111. The value isn't great, but I think that probably comes through. But let's say you take out Denise and you go towards Lyoto Machida. Plus 232 for this 2-fighter parlay, Trainer and Machida. I do believe both these fighters get wins, and I think high likelihood of this parlay actually coming through and playing a dog like Machida is not a bad idea. An OG underdog. Now, let's say you just want to keep Trainer in. Let's say you added in Kiholtz. You like both of them a lot and you want to play something with the UFC. We can mix and match and then add in Caitlyn Schuchagan, Trainer, Kiholtz, Schuchagan, plus 196. You like Davy Grant, brings you to plus 294. You like that over 2.5 with me if we're on the same side, minus 270, plus 440 for that one there. And then obviously if you added in underdog city and you go nuts with it, which I'm not advising you do, mix match it a bit, play it a little safer, but plus 1,223 if you added in Lyoto Machida as well and he comes through. And if you really want to go nuts and you're like, listen, give me a Rujao as well, plus 2,546. It's extremely wide. It's possible, but these are lottery ticket plays, guys. 2 3-fighter parlays backs if you're looking to have a high likelihood of cashing. When you start playing risk factor, danger zone, you can get yourself into some serious trouble. But not a terrible idea. Maybe you like the side of just Machida there. You want to add him into your play and play him with somebody you're real confident in the UFC. Let's say it's Grant. Let's say it's even just Schuchagan. I mean, you're getting great plus money either way if you added in Machida at the plus money. But let's be real. There's always a chance Machida could shit the bed on this one and take an L. Tatsuro Taira, if I have to add somebody else in. Like, I do want to just do one last one with pure UFC picks that are confident picks. Like, you're just throwing down. You're like, listen, I just want confident picks. Taira, Grant, Maximov, Schuchagan. I believe these 4 come through. If you want to add in underdog city, of course, it's possible. But let's add over 2.5 actually for Hadley. This fight's kind of scary. It's plus 477. I do think it's going long here. You can add in Verna or Hill. If I had to pick between the two, I'm actually going to pick the Hill Verna one as the better one to play just the over 2.5. I don't know. I just have a better feeling about it. Plus 409. line for this. I mean, granted, you're getting into wild man territory as always when you start playing these crazy parlays. But we're going to do it here. Trainer, Keyholtz, plus 866. You say, listen, give me Machida, plus 2,268. Give me Michael Page. Let's go nuts. Plus 7,358. We're playing Hail Mary City over here. You're like, listen, let's keep running. Give me Wendell. Plus 26,003. Can you imagine that one hit? This is the craziest parlay ever. It could happen. Likelihood, let's be real, probably something falls through in the mix, but it's worth talking about and definitely fun for the people. Overall, I think we got a pretty good perspective on the betting for both of these cards. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's best MMA bets. Make sure to smash the hell out of the like button. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, turn those post notifications on, and share the video as well. Much love, my people. I appreciate the continued support. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you don't have anything to say, you just enjoy the content, drop a W in the chat for your boy to boost the algorithm. I will see you all in the next one. Peace, guys.